Did you know it's easy to start a garden if you use transplants, and you can grow your own? I do. It's just one of the fun things to do. And I know Ed Thralls, who's with us here, residential horticulturist at the Extension Center, does too. Ed, thanks for growing. These are great looking plants.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to grow them. These were planted back in September. And it takes about 6 weeks to get them to that size, and they're ready to be planted in the garden.
You know, you're making me feel bad because mine tend to be lanky. How do you get them from being so lanky?
I have the benefit of a greenhouse that lets a lot of light in.
And maybe a little bit cooler?
It's a little bit cooler. I have a pad that draws air across them and keeps them cool during the middle of the day.
Yeah. What we need to tell everybody, if these are cool season transplants now, and what does that mean?
These are plants that are made for growing in the short days of winter, and they can stand up to the harsh winters that we have. And there are the cool season. This particular group of plants happen to be in the cabbage family.
Yeah, looks like you've got cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage. Is that
Correct.
right? Good. Now these were started when?
These were started in September the 20th.
Okay.
And this is October the 25th, so
Yeah.
they're about 5 weeks old.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. And it's from seed to a transplant like this in 5 weeks. Isn't that amazing? So you can do it too. And you started these in what we call a community pot.
Right.
And then you transplanted them into here.
Yeah, I've transplanted them in there, and they've been there, and they've been getting fertilizer once a week.
Okay. Now, garden preparation. We're going to put some of these in. What do you do to prep the garden?
Well, I put in a good potting mix here, so I've got a nice clean garden to start with.
Okay, let me have your trowel over there. And let's
Okay.
just flip a little of that up here so people can see what it looks like. Nice and
it's-
loose,
it's
good drainage.
About 1/3 compost as well. You can see the compost there. Very good drainage, very important. It's also very moist right now. I want to moisten it before I do the transplants. And as I mentioned before, I also put out fertilizer here several days ago, so that I've pre-fertilized it and I've made it moist, and I've also moistened those transplants so they'll come out of the container easy.
I'm going to go ahead and pop one out. There we go. Loosen it from the bottom there and pull it out. Looks like a cauliflower plant. Boy, that is a beauty. Look at the root system on that. What a great job, Ed.
That's really what's important, and when you're growing transplants, you want roots look like this. So white roots, fine netting, nothing's really wrapping around.
You don't have to break it apart.
You don't have to break it apart. It's
Yeah.
ready to go.
Okay.
I do have some bad leaves, so I'm going to want to take them off.
Yeah,
They've
you
got
don't
some
want any
yellow
blemishes.
spots on
I know
them.
Ed.
I don't like them on there anyway.
Okay, so how we get it in the ground now?
Well, we're going to take an area, we're going to make a hole just about twice as large as this particular root ball is. I don't want it any deeper than the root ball. I'm going to set it in the ground, and I'm going to cover it back up.
There we
Firm
go.
it in the soil there, and I'm going to take my hose usually and water out any air bubbles that might be there. And if I need to, I have a half-strength liquid fertilizer I could use as a transplant fertilizer, but I don't normally use that.
Yeah, you said you already had fertilizer down in the bed
I
here.
already have fertilizer in a bed, and the roots haven't grown out yet. They can't take advantage of it anyway for
Yeah.
a while.
What would happen if I planted it too deep?
If you planted it too deep, in the case of this, you can see, I'm going to pull it back out of the ground.
Okay.
You can see here, if you plant that too deep, you're actually probably going to cause a rot at that point on the
Ooh,
stem. So
yeah.
that's not a good idea. You don't want to plant it any deeper than it was growing in the container.
Okay, what care do we need now?
Now that we've got it planted in the ground, the kind of care that we need is make sure that it stays upright, it gets plenty of water, and it gets plenty of fertilizer about once every 3 weeks, and that we do bug control. Keep the bugs off of them, because they're really going to tear your plants
Caterpillar's
up.
probably the worst.
Now that they know that this plant is growing here, they'll be here by the dozens.
Okay, Ed, big question. When do we eat?
We eat in about 65 days. This particular cauliflower is going to have a nice big white head on it, and I can't wait.
You're an optimist. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it very much. And now you know it's not hard to start a garden at all. If you have transplants, try growing some yourself.